anything to Judge?
Thought just a polite reminder would be in order.
No, you know Sam, our friend that has cancer?
Yes.
He had chemo Wednesday, and I stayed with him last night, so I went out to check on him.
Now,
See if I was staying tonight too.
Okay. It's 6:30 p.m. and the quorum is present, so we will call the Maumelle Planning Commission, the regular meeting of January 25th, 2024, to order this evening. So the first thing we have is the introduction, I guess. Are you going to take care of this, Mr. Grimmer, for announcements? Hang on.
Technical glitch. Testing. Okay,
Go.
good.
Go ahead, Mr. Grimmer, for announcements.
Well, so Jason's actually going to give the announcements. There you go, son.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First off, we'll start at the top. Staff reviewed items. The Villages at Maumelle Phase 1 has been filed, or we believe it's been filed. It should be coming to our office. So you should start seeing some homes going up and townhomes going up over there off of Commercial Park, Maumelle Village Drive now. General announcement, we'd like to introduce our 2 new planning commissioners that were approved by the council at the previous meeting. They're both in attendance, I believe. John C. Jones.
Welcome.
And Alice Folk.
Welcome.
Okay, so they'll be joining us next month. One note we wanted to let the commission know, one of the code amendments from last month will be, or actually from December, excuse me, will be coming back to the planning commission next month. It's regarding the PCD zoned. The city council has asked for it to be referred back to planning commission to be reviewed again for some language and updates. And that's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. So, going to our agenda, the approval of the minutes for December 21st, 2023. Ms. Winnick had a small change on the motion. First one, under approval of minutes, be reflective of November minutes, which just looks like a copy-paste typo, rather than October. Make that note for the record and change reflected, please. Do we have any other comments or changes?
Also below that, it says Fisher absent, and he was there.
Well, I thought you missed the first item, I believe.
No.
You were late.
No.
He was inside, but you weren't here for the first motion, were you?
Yeah.
You were?
No, I think he missed the first motion, but then it came in after.
That's why. I'll let you take that up, Mr. Grover.
Well,
I didn't.
we can review
We can
re-review the
look at
video and make sure.
Let's review the video for demonstration.
I don't care.
It's your last meeting. You're trying to make trouble.
Well, hey, what can I tell you? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve minutes as amended.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I hear a second. Hearing a first and second. All those in favor of approving the minutes of December 21, 2023, say by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. So we will have public comments on non-agenda items. We do have one. Mr. Steve Mosley has asked to speak on a subject. I'll let him come to the podium and cover that topic.
Hello, I'm Steve Mosley, 16 Riverwood Place here in Maumelle. I'm one of the Ward 1 council members, and as such a council member, I just wanted to come tonight and thank Mike Fisher and Scott Smith very much for their time on the Planning Commission, and to say that I think Maumelle is a much better place as a result of their service. And I thank you very much. There's a lot of time involved, a lot of thought, and you guys definitely put some effort into it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Councilman Mosley. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you. Okay, so we will now open the public hearing. Old business, seeing none, we will move into new business. The first item is SUB 23-16, which is the Take 5 Oil Development Plan. So it's proposed development plan and plat for 2 lots on the southeast corner of Maumelle Boulevard and Crystal Hill Road for a proposed commercial development. We will hear the preliminary plat, the development plan, landscape plan, and the building design all by a separate motion. Who's covering this for staff?
Jason's going to introduce this one.
Jason, take off.
Okay. Yes, Commissioners, to start off with the first item, the preliminary plat. This is, we're calling it it's called the Express Edition, lots 1 and 2. Jumping ahead, lot 1 will be where the proposed development for the Take 5 oil change will be. Lot 2 is going to be developed at a later date. This is a PCD zoning, so this will be well, first off, the plat will be approval, stay here at Planning Commission. The preliminary development plan will be to the council if approved to go. And the landscape plan, commercial building design, stay at Planning Commission as well. With the plat, we have no further issues. They have updated everything we've requested. The main change, if you remember from subcommittee, they have agreed to add a 40-foot access easement put right on the lot line, so 20 feet on each side. This also will help reduce traffic conflict between Village Cove and where the original driveway was, as it's pushed further south. So this is pretty straightforward plat. No other comments, I think, that need to be addressed here. And of course, we recommend approval of this contingent on any further Planning Commission staff comments.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Lyon.
And the applicants are in the audience if questions arise.
Very good. Thank you. Any discussion on the proposed preliminary plat for Take 5 Old Development Plan?
The only, if I may, the only question I had, and it may not be any problem at all, within the 20 or 40-foot easement, ingress and egress easement, the 15-foot building line for each of those lots fall. Does that need to adjust to fall outside of that 40-foot easement?
Yeah, we'll probably push that to make it 20 feet then, so to sit right on the edge. Where they're proposing the building, obviously on lot 1, is not affected by it. So yeah, we can we'll make that recommendation on the adjustment.
Okay, because yeah, lot 2, it could fall.
No, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Jason, the 40-foot easement access on that drawing that we're looking at,
Yep.
it doesn't show, but on the other drawing, it shows the parking.
Yeah.
How does the parking overlay onto that easement?
Well, you can, in an access, if you remember also, you can have some parking in the access. And that'll be another update we'll need to make, is a shared access parking. There was a previous plan a few months ago that was very similar, where part of the parking was touched the shared access. The Acre Pharmacy up on Country Club was very similar as well. Have the access easement with some parking right there as well. But as long as for fire purposes, of course, they're going to want the minimum 20 feet of pavement. But the 40-foot is typical if you wanted to have 3 lanes or 2 lanes. So it just gives them, they can build out further to 40 feet if they need to. But 20-foot is generally what fire code is going to require and others.
So, does that mean that the driveway, as we see it on this drawing, will go through to the parcel in the back? And those parking spaces will stay where they're at, or will those change in the future?
It's possible they could change. That's going to be up to the development. As long as they meet the minimum parking requirements, once the lot 2 develops, then that'll be fine. This essentially, think of this, where this driveway ends right now as a stub out in a subdivision, for instance. You're going to have a stub out to the property line, and that's typical until the other lot develops. So it'll stop there for now, and then they can reconfigure their parking as needed at a later date as it develops, since it is the same property owner.
Mr. Chairman Gill and Jason, would it be probably more efficient for us to ask them to put a note in the general notes stating that parking is to be shared among lots 1 and 2, and have a requirement for any calculations for parking on lot 2 to be accommodating the shared requirement between the two? To answer that.
We're at the first one, which is preliminary plat, which I don't think
Right.
has anything to do with the parking arrangements.
Correct.
So let's let's act on the plat, and then I have the same concerns, Tracy, as well, too, and I think I think it's more appropriately addressed on what we're gonna do with the parking. I have some same concerns as you do on the preliminary development plan. So is there any other questions on the preliminary plat? We'll act on that, and then we'll move over and get this parking, concern addressed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, subject to Commissioner's comment, to approve the proposed preliminary plat.
Second.
Hearing first and second, this does stay with the planning commission, so we'll take a vote to accept the proposed preliminary plat for Take 5 Oil Development Plan, pending any other questions or comments.
And, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry for correction of that motion. Is it to include commissioner comments? Was that mentioned in that?
Yes.
Okay.
I said take. Yeah, to include. Hearing first and second, we'll now act on the approval of the proposed preliminary plat. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we will hear the proposed preliminary development plan for Take 5 Oil Development.
Okay, Commissioners, as you know, development plans are atypical, and they're pretty much, they look very much the same as a plat. In this case, the development plan is focused on Lot 1. Excuse me, sorry, I'm getting technology going here. So to address the concerns on parking, this is a very small building, and being that it is a drive-through oil change, there's very limited parking needed for customers themselves. It is more for the employees, so that's where the 6 spots come in, and that matches up with what is needed. Actually, they have 7 spots with the handicap on the north side. It is outside the drive area. It would, of course, it would be within the 40-foot, and they also note there a 25-foot shared parking and access easement on that side. If you look down in the little center right, bottom center right, where the hand is. The only concerns we have on this, some of this is just typical 7101B. We just need certificate of surveying accuracy, preliminary engineering. Some of the certificates were missing. Very minimal on this case. That's easily addressed. The only concerns, we have other concerns, fire, making sure that a fire hydrant is placed down around the drive area. That was put in our comments. And then Chief Eaton has also asked this little area right here as you go up into the drive, up on the left a little bit. It's only 16 feet wide right here. Fire would like that to be 20 feet in order to get a fire truck in, fire apparatus in there as needed. He's not worried about the side drive coming all the way around, but just the 20 foot to make this turn. And his suggestion was possibly just push it north about north 4 feet, and it still misses that water line that's there. And that's the main comments we have there. And then we have some drainage comments that we believe can be addressed during the civil plans as far as the flow of the water and underground. With that, the staff recommendation is for a due pass to the city council.
So, Mr. Ryan, on this easement, what I don't understand is that there are designated easement on their property. So if the hatch carries through, it's carrying to the north 40 foot, you'd only have the designated shared parking easements, which would be south of the property line. That's a comment. I guess he can write whatever easement he wants on his own property.
Yeah, and
We can do that.
Yeah, and that would be on a bill of insurance. Should be in the bill of assurance to ensure that there's a shared parking. My contention would be it would probably change depending on the development on Lot 2, but the shared parking would be part of it as well to make sure the mixed uses, if there are mixed uses, still meet the parking minimums at that time. But that would be when a Lot 2 development plan comes in.
I'm not debating the parking. What I'm saying is that you're showing an easement. So they want the easement to convey, this is just really a comment, I guess, to the owner. They want the easement to convey on the property they're acquiring.
Well, and they're here if they want to speak to that. I would assume that when we get to the final plat and they clean this up, that they're going to have that documented in the bill of assurance, how they want that to be conveyed, whether if it is going to be any shared access
How many parking spaces are required?
Six, but with a PC, being a PUD, they do have flexibility, so there's not necessarily a general, fixed requirement.
Good evening, I'd be glad to address a comment. My name's Andrew Barclay, I am with Driven Brands, the applicant, the parent company of Take 5. The reason for that shared parking is in case Lot 2, we decide to sell to somebody else down the future. So since our Lot 1 is too tight to have parking within our lot, we
You
have
said
it.
the property line may shift.
No, the property line, this is gonna be the property line, but our parking that we need for our building, we don't have room to put it on our lot right now because we had to make some adjustments, so we have it in shared access easement on the other lot, and that's in case we decide to sell it in the future to a developer that wants to come in and buy it, not just lease it.
Which would be subject to the shared parking.
They would still have to come in and meet the parking. We just did that since the previous comments were to move the access down, to add wider access to also the second lot. We need to move and add the fire lane to the west side of the building. We had to move our parking further south. And we didn't want to make our lot any bigger because we didn't want Lot 2 to be too small to be developed. So in order to keep Lot 1 the size it is, we just moved our parking needed for our lot onto the adjacent lot. Hope that clears it up.
One other thing, does the, the dumpster, which currently sits at the 15-foot building offset, it'll have to shift to the north, won't it? So it clears that easement, or you'll have to tear it out. If you sell to somebody else or whatever and develop Lot 2, you would have to move that out of that 40-foot easement.
No. I mean,
The
Well,
owner can do what he wants with the easement.
Well-
It's just a comment. I don't
Well,
quite
that's-
understand
and
it,
I
nor
guess
does
that's
the
my
line,
comment as well.
because the only
It's
thing you
just-
need the easement for, unless the parking arrangement, and you may not have to turn there, would only be for the necessary, parking. But if you wanna convey it with an easement, that's your business, it's fine. And I don't take issue with it. We approve the plat either way. So, however you wanna do it. I don't know. if
We're just, something we're trying to do
burdening- I
now.
don't want us to burden you with putting an easement on the north side of the line, as I don't know that it's altogether necessary, but.
It's just
depending on
something
what you're gonna
our,
do with the property, you know, if you have reasons for doing it and conveying the Lot 2, it's fine, you know, that's what you wanna do.
yeah, just something kind of make it a little bit easier down the road if we decide to
Fair enough.
Just
Yeah,
somebody wants to buy the
If you don't know
property.
which way you're gonna carry through, I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other
Jason?
questions for the applicant since he's
Oh.
up?
Jason, the fire marshal, he wasn't worried about the 14-foot on the north?
No, we've talked to Chief Eaton extensively on that. He's not worried about the basically circle drive around being 14 feet because his trucks will be within that roughly 150-foot area.
Okay.
And that's where we're asking for, he wanted the 20-foot opening
Okay.
to get in the drive there. And it's such a small building that's really negligible. And then, again, his own main concern was making sure there's a hydrant down there, in particular for when Lot 2 develops.
I asked him that at subcommittee hall, and he said he was fine with it.
yeah, the main reason for that, drive around is just for, any excess traffic that can get out of the site if they get locked in.
Any other questions? Chair entertain a motion. This is to recommendation, council.
I'll make a do pass recommendation to the city council for the Take 5 preliminary development plan pending any commissioner or staff comments.
Thank you, Holly. Here's a second.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, we will now take action. Any other comments? We close. We'll now take action on the proposed preliminary development plan for Take 5 oil development. So all those in favor of do pass recommendation to council signify by saying yes.
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 Those opposed, no. Motion carries for the proposed preliminary development plan on Take 5 oil. We will now hear the proposed landscape plan.
All right, so the landscape plan meets all of our standards. One of the comments they addressed for us in the, between subcommittee and this current meeting, they added the trees we requested along Crystal Hill. Otherwise, all their landscape plan actually does exceed our needs. The only tree might be, again, where we've asked them to move the curb up to get the 20-foot That tree may need to move, shift a little bit, but that's not integral right there, but just to keep it up there and move it, and it doesn't encroach onto that water line that would be in there.
Is that the true alignment of the telephone and electric coming in off of, is that coming off an existing power pole overhead or
Are you talking up in the northwest
on
corner?
the northwest corner?
Yes, I believe it is, yeah.
Cause it's coming right through a tree, if that's the case. And
Well,
does that cause?
No, there's there's above ground right there. And those are existing trees also though.
Right,
Yeah.
it calls to protect them and remain.
Yeah.
I don't think Energy will let you do that.
That'll be, yeah, we can let them work on the utility design with Entergy as needed. But those were existing trees that they followed our tree preservation. I think they were 12 inches in diameter, so they kept them, which was great.
But if they lose that tree, the landscape plan still meets the requirements, correct? Yeah.
We appreciate the applicant's accommodation.
So with that, the staff recommendation is approval of the landscape plan.
Very good. Any questions, comments? This stays with us, so Chair would entertain a motion for the proposed landscape plan.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval of the landscape plan contingent on further staff, commissioner, and public comments.
Thank you, Ms. Fenwick. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, we'll now take action on the proposed landscape plan on Take 5 Oil Development. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. The proposed landscape plan for Take 5 Oil Development is approved. We will now move to the last item on this item for Take 5 Oil, which is the proposed commercial building design.
Again, commissioners, the commercial building design is pretty straightforward. This is, I believe, their stock look with the colors, the tan, the brown, and the red. It is EFS, which meets our requirements. I think the only concerns that were brought up at subcommittee is just to ensure that any HVAC equipment is screened, whether it's on the ground or on the roof. But I believe that the parapet would cover anything on the roof. With that, we had no other concerns on this, and we recommend approval of the commercial building design.
Thank you, Mr. Valano.
Mr. Chairman, that would be my question about the screening on the roof. Is that parapet all the way around the building?
Appears to be just in that first, is it all the way around?
The applicant says it is, yes.
It is.
211, you have a 211 parapet around, and then an additional step up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Which would be enough to cover any mechanicals that went on that roof?
It's got to cover it, it's got to come down on the side and be separately screened for code.
Yep. That was my only comment on that.
I mean, if they come, if the applicant, whatever mechanical they would have the ability to put it behind that tall parapet, that seemed to be more accommodating space. Other than that, they'd have to raise the whole parapet around the peripheral of the building.
But if they put mechanicals up there and you can see it from any of the other sides, doesn't meet the code.
That's right, and they would have to go in and screen just like Kroger did and the other applicants that we've had in the past.
Now, unfortunately, there are some mechanicals on top of Kroger that doesn't meet the code.
We have code enforcement section, talk about it, Mr. Brown.
Somebody messed up.
That was before my time, but we'll be more than happy to,
It's grandfather.
He did make them go back in and put it back up. I don't know what else they put up there. So you said something else has been put up.
Yeah, I think so. If you drive out there and look in front of the building, look up, I think you'll see some.
They've been such an outstanding citizen, I'm sure maybe they
And,
can help us
and
direct that.
Mr. Grummer is correct, and so is Jason, their grandfather, because they weren't around when that happened.
I thought, yeah.
Well, and I believe in the applicant, please let me know with the shake of your head if I'm wrong. I believe at the subcommittee, they mentioned that there was not going to be HVAC on the roof.
Yeah, that's.
I believe if there's going to be, it's going to be on the
That's
ground.
correct. The only thing we have on the roof is vents, and those are not taller than the parapet. So
And where are they on the ground?
it's, all we have is just a small window type unit. It's actually ground level for the office.
Is this right here where I'm kind of have the mouse going?
Yeah, I believe that's,
okay.
yeah.
So that'll
It's-
be on the, what side is that on?
Show on the plan.
like a P-TAC unit that sits halfway in?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very small.
Yep.
It's
In the
ground
building,
level.
The only thing that's air
It's-
conditioned is in the office.
And it'll be screened by the landscaping screening along the property line. So I believe it's gonna be on the, let's see.
As long as code enforcement.
Is that on the north
follows
side?
what they're supposed to do.
They won't see it in the summertime, Mike.
I think the screening is required,
Yeah.
the landscape is not adequate, I think you have to have a separate, you can talk that up with Mr. Grumman to make sure that you, and of course, when civil plans come through, they can,
Yeah, we'll look at that because it's not gonna be it's not a traditional, ground mounted, HVAC. It's gonna be right there, kinda almost, I guess, like a window unit of some sort.
Yeah, it's just-
It's
essentially.
like a hotel, P-TAC unit.
Yeah, it's kind of halfway in, halfway out, and it's, like I said, it's right on the ground. Right there. But, yeah, other than that, the only equipment will be one or two vents, above each of the bays, and like I said, they're lower than the parapets.
very good,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions? So it stays with council, so I'll take a motion to approve the proposed commercial building design for Take 5 Old Development.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval contingent on further staff, commissioner, and public comments for the commercial building design for Take 5.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do you hear a second? Thank you, Hall. Hearing first and second, we will now act on the proposed commercial building design for Take 5 Oil Development. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed? The proposed commercial building design for Take 5 Oil Development is approved. And that concludes SUB 2316 for Take 5 Development. Our next item this evening is SUB 24-1 and CUSE 24-1 for Stony Mountain Preliminary Plat. This is proposed subdivision within the Maumelle ETJ and conditional use permit to allow small lot, single-family development.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to talk on this one. So, staff is requesting this item be deferred to the February 22nd Planning Commission meeting. After review of this item, we've determined that we've needed more time to review. Back when this originally, there was a development that came through back in 2007, I believe, that requested access through one of the locations for the streets. There was litigation involved, so the city attorney is reviewing all legal documents on that to make sure that before we move this forward, that we understand the consequences of that. So anybody in the audience that may have come here concerning this, we are requesting for a motion to defer this to that meeting, February 22nd. If there's any specific questions between now and then, you're welcome to contact our office here at City Hall. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions and take public comment.
When was the applicant so advised of your recommendation?
I'm sorry.
When was the applicant advised of your recommendation?
They were advised of it. We discussed it. It was end of last week. It was before the packet went out, so it was on last Thursday.
So staff's bringing it down, so there will not be any restrictions about coming back up or anything of that nature.
No, sir.
Understood. I see that they're in the audience, so he's not taking objection, I take it, so.
And one of the other things is because, and we didn't catch this when the application initially came in, what we did as we were reviewing it, this will require an amendment to the master street plan. So there will be also a request for amendment to the master street plan next month to accommodate the changes that are being requested through the plat on this one.
Very good. So just for, and I do have some public comments, so we are not going to officially hear this item tonight, so we won't entertain a public hearing for this section as we're going to pull it down, and staff's recommending to do so. Staff's advising that it is going to be back for February as well too.
Yes, sir.
So we meet always on the fourth Thursday. You'd have the opportunity, I don't know if another public round notification is going to be done, so, or not, because it's already ran. So.
Well, this becomes a public notification to February 22nd. The signs will remain up.
Okay.
And we'll continue to receive any comments that come in.
So if you have any questions about the development, you can call Mr. Germer's office here. And then if you have public comments, then we would ask and invite you back, actually, and welcome you back here the fourth Thursday of next month, wherever that falls. February 22nd, I'm talking about Mr. Lyon.
Do we have to vote on that?
Now staff brings it down.
Well, actually,
Or you wanna recommend, or are they gonna, that's what I was saying, if you
Yeah,
pull,
well-
there's no time, if they defer.
well, we didn't pull it from the agenda, so it's on the agenda as an item, so, we're gonna need a motion to defer, to
Okay, that's
February
fine.
22nd,
Do
if
that.
that's okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to defer to the December meeting of this.
February meeting.
February.
Second.
Hey, you're in a first and second, we'll take a vote to defer the Stony Mountain preliminary plat for the February, regularly scheduled February meeting. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those no, signify same sign. So we will defer this item until February. The two applicants that I have, you would be required, these comment cards won't carry because the application will be different, and that will be in the public packet as well that gets sent out. If you have any questions about where to get that, you can contact Mr. Grummer's office, and then you'd have to fill out a new comment card at that point in time.
And Mr. Chair, in clarification, that will be the preliminary plat and the conditional use for that item will be deferred.
Okay.
You mentioned just the preliminary plat, so,
Yes, item one, both items 1 and 2, correct?
yes. Yes, sir.
Do you need a separate motion for those? We don't have a city attorney to ask that today.
Well, it's the Stony Mountain preliminary plat
Yeah.
item on the agenda.
Yeah, it's called preliminary plat, but there's
The
two items.
motion
to be
was for
heard, so-
Stony Mountain, I believe.
Yes, his was.
You said Stony Mountain. So it is for the proposed conditional use for clarification.
Be for
The
both.
two items for the conditional use permit and the preliminary plat are both deferred.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. So, we've got, item number 3 on our agenda tonight is a code amendment update for section 101C2 for site plan review, proposed code amendment for section 101C2 regarding site plan review, regarding timeline, proposed changing to apply for permits. So just some cleanup work here. I see that, I was informed before here that staff is off, so recommend deferral. We've had, our city attorney is not present and asked for some more time to review as well too. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I'll leave it up to Scott if we want to just kind of discuss what was talked about on it. You know, after subcommittee, I apologize, I couldn't remember if it was Chairman Johnson or Commissioner Gill that asked about adding the extension request to it, to be similar to the plats, which is something we're gonna take under advisement and look at, obviously. And then the current site plan code says 24 months to apply, and what we were changing was to issue, and then also building plan submittal versus approved building plans. So we're gonna bring back with Attorney Thornton's advice. We're looking at some other options of maybe dropping 24 months down to 12 months and have 2 extensions, or 24 months and only 1 extension. But we'll bring that in subcommittee, and this was a city attorney's request to go ahead and defer it to have more time to look at it.
And I believe he had a little bit of rewording just from a legalese standpoint. He wanted some input on.
I just encourage you to line it up if you could, that way you don't have to, you see tendency to forget, right?
Okay, very good. So we need a motion to defer since it is on the agenda. He does want to bring it back in February, so we need
yes, sir.
a motion to defer to February from Commissioner, please.
I'll make a motion to defer item 3 on the agenda, code amendment update to section 101C2.
Very good. Here, second.
Second.
Hearing a first and second, we'll take action to defer CAU 24-1, which is item number 3 on the agenda. All those in favor of the deferment say yes.
Yes.
Those no. Motion carries for defer to February. Our last item of business on our agenda this evening is LUSE 24-1, which is a master land use map amendment for discussion only. This was presented, and usually we do have quite a few in the audience when we do master land use map amendments and street master plans. We typically at least allow 2 public meetings for discussion and input. So this is the first one for discussion only. Depending on what we receive, we may or may not take action regarding next month. Who's covering this for staff?
I will. So, yeah, our intention was to bring it up next month as a for a public hearing with one of our items regarding the PCD updates being referred back to Planning Commission next month. I believe we can bring this back next month if the commission so chooses as a discussion item again. or we can hold off and bring it back in March officially. But we're waiting on how the referred code amendment's going to go with the PCD before we proceed forward. Obviously, with the proposed SUC land use category, mix it in with the PCD amendment as well. It's kind of, it's. Muddies it up. Yeah, it muddies the water a little bit. So with the one code amendment being held up right now, we'd prefer to hold off and leave it as a discussion item next month if you'd like, or just wait till March and bring it back fully.
Understand.
I think I'd wait till March.
Oh, I'd wait until the PCD, that's good, we learned today that's coming back to us, courtesy council, to be heard again, so, happy to do so.
So it's up to, Mr. Chair, if you want us to go over some of the, just as an additional
Yeah,
month, or if you
Sure, I
want
think
us
we
to
should go
pass
ahead
on.
and put it on the record, you have the summary proposed land use amendments, let's read it in to make sure that it's, the folks know, and they can look at the minutes.
Okay, Jason, you want to just kind of go through some of that?
So just the summary?
Is this gonna be as part of record in the minutes, or no?
Yes, sir, it will be.
Okay.
So, and hopefully, because it was only a discussion item, we chose not to put a hard copy in this month's packet, save some paper and blotter ink, but I did attach it in the digital copy. So just some of the things we're looking at, obviously a lot of it, we're looking at the SUC, if the proposal were to come through. That's a lot of them. But for instance, some small things up on Sagamore Court is a spatial adjustment of a right-of-way utility land use that actually matches up with the property that it's owned by a municipal Maumelle Sub Improvement District, where I think it was going to be a water tower of some sort that hasn't been built yet, but it's still there, and that's the current land use had it sitting in the middle of the road and also going up onto some residential properties.
Was that conveyed as part of the CAW agreement? Is it still titled? I bet it's not.
It is.
It's still the improvement districts?
No, it's entitled to the CW.
Okay.
We're looking at Carnahan Drive over towards the middle school, high school area. Currently, there's a 300-foot PCD zone along the frontage of that. Of course, everybody, as you know, Lewis Nelson is heavy industry with the trucks right there. We're looking at, doing some updates there, proposed commercial or commercial industrial. Into Carnahan, which is all city-owned, instead of being commercial industrial, proposing to go into special use for parks, trails, city improvements.
On item 2, I think that 300-foot corridor was, let me check with the Pulaski County School District about that. I think that was their preference along that last time, is to keep that corridor commercial. That was their preference, because it's going into the school.
Okay, yeah, that's, again, something that can be discussed. We know the property frontage along there was recently bought by a church, so obviously that, takes away some of the commercial part of it.
Well, there may be, we may even look at that as SUC instead of, because the SUC had the lot, if that gets passed.
They own the property right across from the high school too,
Right.
although it's not developed, but they did that as a buffer as well. They just did some things when they bought out there and committed, so we want to keep them in the loop there.
White Oak Crossing interchange, again, it's a lot of industrial, moving more to a commercial open space, or SUC commercial no for the interchange, gateway to Maumelle. The Public Works grounds is commercial industrial. Obviously, it probably should be industrial or even institutional, because it is a city function. Club Manor corridor, that's really the Club Manor corridor is our town, what we consider our town center mixed use, just what we're looking at there. Country Club, Diamond Center area, SUROC to commercial with development. That portion of Country Club is developing differently. Country Club Circle, SUR to commercial or SUC to match existing uses and approved plans. Number 9, go either way, open space for the golf course, since that's what it's being utilized as. But that would also hem it in a little bit if they were to sell the golf course, for instance, though. So we need to change, that may be something, just some stuff to think about. Maumelle Boulevard, south of Orleans, that little narrow strip along Maumelle Boulevard, commercial, single family, again, smaller maybe potential smaller development for mixed use. Village Cove, that's the property behind the First Security Bank and the Hampton Inn. I've actually spoken with the realtor that's on that property multiple times, and they are back and forth on what they would like to see there, and they're looking at some commercial, some residential. So again, that's another SUC type area that we'd like to see potentially. Crystal Hill, single-family detached to SUR, special use residential. Crystal Hill doesn't have a lot. It's not really viable for single-family per se right along Crystal Hill, especially with the rebuilt road and the pathways. We look at more SUR, so you could still do some residential, obviously, but single-family detached may not be the best option with the road there. Mobile Boulevard, Orleans, actually, that's a copy up from a previous one. I just kind of missed it. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And with the map, we've kind of labeled out the different areas so you can kind of see what's going on.
And I guess one last comment that I'll make, thanks Jason for sharing all that, even though the amendment to the PCD is coming back to Planning Commission next month, the request for the land use amendment to include SUC in the land use category is still with the City Council. So that was on its second reading. It'll be going on its third reading. So if that passes, then that does create the category that does affect a lot of the land use around this map. So I'd encourage Councilmember Mosley and any other council members to look at the proposals that we're having to showcase some of the other areas around the city that the SUC land use would help accommodate additional development.
It may be helpful, if it's still on there, they may want to take a peek at this. There is some history there. Mr. Fisher may remember about commercial use south of Orleans. I go to visit, that little strip, you can crash and burn pretty good. I can share that with you, Mr. Drummer, as well, to bring some history to that. So should it come about, I don't see any of the owners here for that area, but unless it's already changed hands. Still got for sale sign in it, so I'm assuming it's still in Country Club's ownership. Very good. So we'll see you in it, and thank you very much for the discussion. Again, it looks like this may push 2 times to get the SUC clear back to councils, because it looks like it's coming back to us. So we'll close public hearing, and then we will hear the City Council liaison reports. First report, January 2, 2024, is Commissioner Smith.
Well, yeah,
How ironic you guys get this.
I thought the same thing when I saw it.
all is timing, all is timing.
Go ahead.
Both of y'all.
Go ahead.
So yes, it was the first reading of ordinance 1103, amending city code to provide a new land use category of special use commercial for the mixed use developments. First reading of ordinance 1104, amending the Maumelle land use plan and map for the same mixed use development proposal. And then the first reading of ordinance 1105, amending the Maumelle zoning code for mixed use planned commercial district.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Ms. Fisher, January 22, 2024.
All right, that was canceled because of the weather, and we had it this past Monday. Second reading of 1103, 1104 really didn't matter because it was dependent upon 1103 and 1105. Extensive discussion by the city directors. The reason it was sent back is because they have 3 options. Pass it as is, decline it as is, or send it back to the commission. They cannot amend anything. Now, the city attorney's going to work on something of that nature, so that's why it's coming back to you. And it came back to you all pretty overwhelmingly, and my interpretation of what the city council was looking to is that this SUC be defined so that it leaves no speculation as to what is and what isn't. And I may be,
More definitive rather than broad.
yeah, And again, we have one of the council members here, and if Steve wants to expound upon that, to let you guys know what is gonna come to you, not me.
I had thought that they had the, I guess not.
No, they don't.
When we had sent stuff to inform, they could come and massage it.
This particular issue is not.
So, well, so that, upon the review of it, the city attorney and the mayor, when they looked into the requirements from the code as to what city council can and can't do on approvals, they did find that they can either approve, deny, or send back for review. They cannot amend. They did say that in the past, they used to amend, and so there was some processes there that now the city attorney's gonna look at and try to clarify. I will say also for clarification that, I'm sorry, there may have been some confusion between the PCD category and how you utilize it, as well as the SUC land use and what the two do. Now, the SUC land use is still with city council because ultimately that's just creating a land use. But what I understand correctly is that they're wanting a little bit more definition within the amendments that we made to the zoning category PCD to prevent any anomalies to happen. Want it a little bit more specific on the definition, so.
Well, the other thing it also does too is it does not subject the city to potential legal challenges, because, you know, I think one of the deals that was brought up was primarily commercial development. Well, my thought was, okay, say that in town center, they want to have commercial on the bottom floor, but they have all 4 stories of rental units. Is that commercial? I think it is, and I think it would be subject to a challenge. But that's just my opinion. I'm not an attorney, and our attorney's not here. So,
Right.
but I mean, I think, you know, I'm not speaking on behalf for the council. I think they want some more definitive, what do you really see in that area? That way it's easier for this commission to look at it and make recommendations. It's also much easier for the city council to determine what is and what isn't to be approved.
And the city attorney said that he wants to take the comments from city council, and we're gonna get together and look at the wording to accommodate what came out of that council meeting. The last thing that we want is this to be played like table tennis, going back and forth. You know, we wanna get to a point to where the council and the commission and the public are comfortable with that change. But at the end of the day, it is meant, and it was passed to provide an opportunity for the city to do mixed use, which includes a mixture of residential within a commercial district. And I know that for some people that creates an issue. So hopefully we can have more comment and more discussion that allows to kind of relieve and give the staff even more time to come up with good examples of what we're talking about when it comes to these type of developments.
I'd also, if Andrew's not here tonight, but, you know, I don't think that we would want to give the council latitude. We put the legislation together for them and look at it and let them massage it, unless they just want, and they've kicked it back to us before. It's not the first time. It just gets entirely, but, you know, it's not that we don't mind doing that either as well, but I know that this will be the first time that I've been exposed to something like that. I guess it's always been interpreted the other way, so.
Well, the one thing that's important to remember, this commission was put together to look at our zoning, subdivision, and that code. The city council's not the ones to make those changes. So ultimately, you're making the recommendation, city council. The problem is that if city council goes in and makes amendments on something, then they may not necessarily know the impacts that amendment could have overall on the zoning, and that needs to be reviewed ultimately by staff and by planning commission with that recommendation going to them.
Fair enough. Next month, anything else?
Just gonna say, Chairman Johnson, Councilmember Mosley, I think, wanted to.
Oh, did you want to speak, Steve?
If you would like to hear a little bit, I'd be happy to share my thoughts at least on that.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't, we want to do this one more time. Yeah, get it back to you.
I'm Steve Mosley, 16 Riverwood Place. Ward 1 council member. Yeah, this legislation it appears very touchy to me. It opens the door to bring in residential housing there in the town center, and I think just about anywhere in Maumelle. It would result in a conversion of some commercial into some amount of residential housing, and probably high density like apartments and condos and things like that. I'm very nervous about that. That's something I've run on for years, that I've always advocated single-family housing here in Maumelle, mainly from a traffic standpoint. We've never really done a good traffic study to see if we can, if our infrastructure is going to handle a lot of high-density housing here going forward. I don't know if we have the capacity to have another entrance or what, but and in fact, we're going to be asking RDOT to see if they'll come by and kind of share their thoughts on that maybe at the next meeting, just so we can have some more input. But I'm very nervous about bringing in high-density housing anywhere in Maumelle, and I'm really worried about a couple of big spots in Maumelle that could, based on the wording that I think was in the ordinance that we got, could allow some huge apartment complexes. And so that was my discomfort. Mr. Drummer was kind enough to kind of share what he would have proposed for an amendment, and I still wasn't uncomfortable afterwards. Mr. Mazzoni expressed discomfort also, and we were the ones that made the motions to go ahead and send this back. I thought about just tabling it indefinitely, but I wasn't sure about the rest of the council, what their thoughts were on that, so I kind of took the middle road to send it back and see if there, some wording could come in that would define, you know, the wording in there talks about commercial being primary and stuff, but it really doesn't define it. There's no percentages. We had a hard time figuring that out. So it boiled down to we weren't comfortable. So we sent it back. So and I can't speak on behalf of the council. I'd recommend you just maybe watch the discussion or something. Unfortunately, it went on for quite a while. But anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve, appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, to go along with that, the recommendation to refer it back was, I think, unanimous. I didn't hear any dissenting vote, so, which would indicate to me that the council as a whole had some uncomfort with what was presented, the way it was presented.
As you did when you voted.
I think so.
Maybe you had the inside all along.
Yeah, well, you know,
Which we're going to miss.
it's my years of experience.
Yeah, well, we have next month's council liaisons, Ms. Winnick for February 5, and Commissioner Gill, which is a Tuesday, Mr. Gill, for Feb 20. And I've enjoyed serving with both you guys very, very much. We'll miss both of you, so enjoyed it, and wish you had decided to re-up, but we have some new folks coming in, and they have some tough, big shoes, I should say, tough shoes to fill, but some big shoes to fill, because there's a lot of, I'll miss saying, Mike, do you remember when we did this? And I'll be asking myself those questions, I guess, from here on out, I'm afraid.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that doesn't mean that I won't be in attendance
Oh.
on occasion, sitting out there
Yeah,
to
but you
point
don't have,
out to
but
you
you
all,
don't have to speak. You're
to
not
point out to
required.
you the error of the commission's way.
You're right, right, fair enough. Yeah, but there's, unless you fill out a comment card or you want to speak, then there's no requirement for you.
Oh, he'll have them pre-filled.
Yeah, okay, perhaps so.
And, Mr. Chair, just as a reminder too, next month, not only will we have the new commissioners up here, we'll also be doing officer elections. So just be thinking about that.
Hope and pray. Very good. No further items are on the agenda. Any other discussion? The chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Here, second.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.